I even had people who worked for me because I was at Yahoo, and people, they quit on me to go work at Google.
Yeah.
And some people, they left my team, went to Google, then Google IPO'd, and they made $100 million.
Dennis, thank you so much for being at the COLABS booth.
Pleasure, Sonya.
I wanted to ask you, could you tell me a little bit about yourself, your work, and your entrepreneurial journey?
So I'm an Asian, as you can tell. I'm good at math, and I enjoyed math so much that I competed in math competitions, became a programmer, and 20 years ago I built the analytics at Yahoo, a search engine. I was one of the first few people there, and we had a lot of data. I learned so much about data and the kinds of things that people were doing that I had more data than anyone else on the planet. I had 13 terabytes of data per day of all the things that people were searching. Can you imagine the kinds of things that people search on the internet?
Give me an example.
Well, 3 out of 10 things on the internet were things that I want to tell you about.
All right.
But everything. The number one search back then in 2000 was eBay. And people were typing in Bank of America, people were starting to type in Google and other things like that. I learned about processing data, and we had more data than commercial databases could handle. So we built our own operating system to process all this data.
Wow. And so what's it been like, I mean, vis-a-vis the technological advancement in these 2 decades since you started out, especially now, post-COVID? I mean, it's shot through the roof.
Yeah, and social media has increased a lot, and especially video data, because people are doing a lot of Zoom calls. There's a lot more data there, there's a lot more signal, there's the rise of TikTok. So doing marketing, doing e-commerce, doing optimization, doing B2B lead gen is in some ways harder, but also easier at the same time. Because it's easier to build relationships, and I think the right answer is somewhere in the middle. So I'm a search engine engineer, so I naturally look at software-based solutions. And I always thought, for the last 20 years, because I was scared of people, I was shy, I learned how to speak on camera, but it wasn't a natural thing. And so I always thought, maybe I could just be a better programmer, and I wouldn't have to collaborate with other people. And on the other side, there's building relationships, there's trust, there's referrals, there's physically being with people. And so I was trying to think of ways to balance those two. And I think all of us as entrepreneurs have to balance between the technology side and the human side.
Absolutely. Dennis, tell me a little bit about how imperative is it for startups in this day and age? Because Pakistan is going through a bit of a boom. It has been for the past 5 to 7 years, and now it's really going through the roof. What's your advice to young entrepreneurs and new startups vis-a-vis their marketing, particularly through social media and connecting with their customers? What works in your opinion?
I have one simple tip for you guys. Connect with people personally. So we're right here at the Future Fest conference, thousands of people, and I was just on stage a little bit earlier, and people are coming up. Just a few minutes ago, this little boy who's 15 came up, and he said that he was working on AI facial recognition that would identify who people were on the website, and he was building different kinds of apps that were based on that. And he said, "Oh, you're from China. Can you tell me about facial recognition and other things that they're doing in China?" And that's not what I work on, but of course, he came up to me and he was bold, and I said, "Ahmed, that is really brave of you. That's exactly what startups need to do." Because we're here in these big audiences, and it's easy just to treat it like watching a YouTube video. But I encourage you guys, reach out. You might think that your English isn't good enough. You might think like people like me from the United States are maybe more powerful, or maybe somehow we're better, or maybe you're just not worthy of being able to reach out. But just like you reached out, Sonya, just like you interviewed Mark Wagner, he's an ordinary human being. Now you can see the guy has made millions of dollars doing what he does with software. But then when you actually sit down with him and you have a coffee and you build a relationship, you exchange WhatsApp, it's really key. And social media, as you mentioned, is a great place because you're just one tweet away from somebody. For example, somebody that I looked up to for many years was Rehan Alawala. Right? He's big in Pakistan, and he's the one who invited me here to speak. And I remember 8 years ago, he came to see me in Silicon Valley. And I thought, wow, what an honor, because we were all in the same place in Silicon Valley. And I even had people who worked for me, because I was at Yahoo, and people, they quit on me to go work at Google. And some people, they left my team, went to Google, then Google IPO'd, and they made $100 million. And then people are like, well, why didn't you go to Google? Because I was loyal to Yahoo, right? Why would I leave the company that I'd spent so much time at and I still made a few $1 million, but I didn't make the kind of money these other people did.
Yeah.
But it was the relationships. So I see that all the time. There's a huge opportunity for startups. And you can work really hard, you can be very smart, but the one differentiator, especially for our friends here in Pakistan, is the connection.